This is the EVP Podcast. Hello, ladies and germs. This is the EVP Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, DVO.
I'm Beaker.
I'm Ghosty McGhostface.
That's right, he is. Welcome back to another episode. We are pleased to have you all. How's everyone doing today in the studio?
I'm feeling great.
Why are you feeling so great?
Because I'm extra crispy all the time.
Yeah, you are.
Do I want to know?
Beaker, how are you doing to this fine day?
Oh, well, awesome.
That's right. We've had some good weather here.
Yes, I get to enjoy it from inside.
I got a little bit of a tan. I was excited about because I went for a nice little motorcycle ride over the weekend, and I, kind of like rubbed my arm, and I could feel like the tingle, like, oh, I got a little bit of sunburn. That's a sign.
See, I'm a ginger, so the sun is my natural enemy.
Like, the sun. Ward off the sun.
Ginger's worst enemy.
I have been called a day walker before, though.
Do you get burned pretty quickly?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been burned on my arms and neck so much, like it doesn't even hurt anymore.
I heard a lack of soul also is a lack of melanin.
Yeah.
Burn real easy.
Oh, thanks, Nick Cannon.
You know who else is a ginge? Prince Harry. I don't know if you thought of him lately.
No.
Okay.
You haven't been thinking about Prince Harry at all?
He moved to the States.
Nope.
He's one of us now.
Nope. And I'm going to pretend I know who he is because I have a friend that's like, you should know.
Don't all gingers know each other?
No. Yeah, we have monthly meetings
I thought so.
via Zoom.
In their caves.
In
Their dark caves.
Oh, God.
No light enters.
No, I was playing video games online with another ginger last night.
I bet it was dark
How
in the
did
room you're
how
in.
did that come up? How did that come up? That
Do you guys
are both
like
gingers?
bicker the whole time?
Do you guys know each other? Like, I feel the presence. There can be only one.
He's Canadian. So it's okay because we're in
gingers.
different countries.
Okay.
It was funny though because I haven't talked to him in a long time. And it was just like, he was saying some stuff. He was just being funny and making me laugh. And I just I'm like, I miss you, Josh. And at the same time I'm saying that, he's like, you miss me. Like we both said it at the same time. It was just,
And then the conversation was,
and then he just
I love you. I mean, bye.
you
Log
tell
you
your,
off now.
wait, you don't tell your friends you love them?
All the time. I kiss them too.
Oh,
On the
so,
lips.
yeah. Well, Ghosty and I do that all the time.
You know.
If
You
you
have
guys
to.
do it, that's just incest. That's weird.
Every time you leave. Bye.
Kiss on the lips. We do
Till we
the
meet again.
we do the greeting, like I kiss him on the cheeks when we, the little
Butt
Butt
cheeks.
cheeks.
On the butt cheeks.
butt cheeks.
Both of them.
Despite what you may
On
have
both
heard, I
sides.
did not actually grab his ass in the cemetery, though.
Oh.
It was my hips.
You grabbed your hips. Oh, this is good. This is gold.
Yeah.
All right.
And then he vanished like a true ginger. He just disappeared.
Like a ship in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes, exactly like that. Just vanished.
Vanished.
Funny enough, that's one of our topics today.
Crazy. Full circle.
How that just
See,
works.
that whole long, 4 minutes of bullshitting just led right up to our topic of
It's like the
Bermuda-
Saturday Night Live intros.
live from Utah.
Riverton, Utah.
It's Sunday night.
It's the EVP podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I can't even. My face is getting numb.
One of these days when I have a Sunday off, we should just all get shit-faced and record.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I've sworn twice in the first
Have
couple months here.
you ever gotten shit faced and
On weed.
ghost hunted?
No.
Would
No,
you?
no. I haven't gotten... So I have had a beer before, an investigation before. I would not recommend it.
Like being inebriated?
So I wasn't inebriated. I had a beer I went to Buffalo Wild Wings while I was waiting
Okay.
for residential to start. Had a liter. I didn't have just or a Stein or whatever the biggest one
Okay.
they give you at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah,
Like,
it
give me the
sounds like
biggest
Stein.
Did you learn that word in Canada from your Canadian friend?
liter.
Liter.
A liter, eh?
Do we have liter sodas and 2 liter sodas here?
2 liters, okay? We have 2 liters.
Have you not ever gotten a liter of beer at the bar?
No.
You obviously don't drink enough.
I got steins and pints.
See, the Steins were never big enough. I always got the liter bump.
I don't know what you're
I used to
talking
drink
about,
too
man. Is that the Canadian cup? Do I have to ask for the Canadian cup?
The
No,
Canadian cup.
A Stein is 32 ounces. A liter is a little bit more. It's like 42.
Well, I like
so.
to change flavors every now and then.
What?
Change flavors of beer.
Yeah, beer.
So
32 ounces at a time.
my bad.
Not a full liter. I'm not drinking internationally here.
I don't even know the hell we're going with this. Like, what just happened? Beer. It's a thing.
So you're inebriated
Oh,
for
no,
your
yeah,
ghost investigation.
So it was I had a hard time like feeling the energy, like, because I can you've been on investigation with me,
Yeah.
like I can kind of, you've seen me like pick out things and,
Right.
and get information by reading the energy of the spirits and whatnot.
Yes.
I couldn't do that when I had alcohol in my system. I had to wait for the buzz to wear off before I could actually feel
It's a
anything.
stimulant.
And it was well, alcohol is a depressant, but
But it's a mind stimulant.
sure. But no, it was just weird because until that buzz started coming down,
Okay.
I couldn't sense or feel any energy or anything. It was like me going
You're
in.
numbed.
Yeah, I was numb to everything, and I didn't like it.
I
So I wouldn't
wonder-
recommend it. I have been on investigations. I don't know if either one of you were there, but we went to a guy's house, and one of the dudes renting a room there had a tall boy in his hand the entire time. I swear he drank like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh,
And,
interesting.
yeah,
I wasn't there.
I
Doesn't
wouldn't.
sound familiar.
I would not recommend drinking on an investigation or before an investigation. I would not recommend doing any drugs or being high or anything like that, to the point where it numbs your senses. Because
Okay.
we've talked about I don't know if we said it on this podcast, but just in the paranormal field in general, your body is your best instrument.
Yeah.
And so when you're taking that ability away from yourself, you're going to do yourself more harm than good.
Or if it heightens you.
If it heightens you,
I have experience in this.
I
field.
think he has experience with that. But for me personally, like, I don't know, maybe like taking a couple hits off of a marijuana
Acid.
cigarette, not acid. Doing
I see ghosts everywhere.
Am I a ghost?
I think we're all ghosts.
I would say like if you just take like a hit or two of like, you know, and again, if this is something like, I'm not going to condone doing drugs or alcohol before an investigation or during
Right.
an investigation, but I know people that have, because they know their tolerance and they know when to stop before it starts really affecting them. And I've actually seen it work with people where, yeah, it has kind of heightened their senses. But I'm not gonna condone it either. I'm not gonna say go out and do this. Don't go buy 3 marijuanas and smoke them before.
3 marijuana sticks.
Yeah, 3 marijuana sticks. That's how one of the guys that works. He's like, talks. He's like, "Did you smoke? How many marijuanas did you smoke?"
Ghosty laughed at that one.
Well, because that usually ends up into injecting marijuanas.
Injecting, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Full power injections of marijuanas.
What do you think about
Okay, so
being
my own
on the next
experience,
level?
Drinking, definitely no. No drinking.
So I think we agree on that one.
Yeah.
It numbs
I
you.
think all 3 of us are.
Yeah.
good on that.
It
Don't
kinda,
drink.
it's
during or
it's a
before.
blocker. It is a blocker. And then it also, if you're too drunk, can leave you open to
Psychic attack.
psychic attacks. Wah, 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 wah.
That's good.
So, but on the marijuana side of things, I can't go to an investigation high because it's too much. Like you start overthinking things, and it's just too much going on in your head to where it's hard to actually feel and concentrate on what you're actually trying to do. But on a come down of an edible, if I time everything correctly and eat just enough to where I get the effects of the come down, or if I have enough time, I can actually eat an edible, feel the effects of it, and then on the come down is when I'm going to the investigation. It does seem to, because I'm not like overthinking things and I don't have things going through my mind, it's more of like my body just feels more open to feeling what's going on around me.
Okay, interesting.
And my body, I feel like it can pay more attention to things and feel more things. And it's more of like the medicinal side of it working and not the mind stimulant side of it working.
Like I always thought an investigation might be kind of fun.
For acid trips? No, it's
No.
don't do that.
I actually had someone ask when I first got into this. One of my friends asked me because he was curious. It's someone that I used to be a roommate with, and he knows Brandy as well. And when I was telling him some of the stuff that Brandy could do, he legit asked me that. He's like, "Oh, has she ever thought about like trying to heighten her abilities by dropping acid?" And I'm like, "No." And he was like seriously confused as to why. I'm like, you do this stuff. Like this is stuff you've done in the past.
Right.
Like, this is how much this guy did this. He once told me, he's like, if you see a tin of Altoids in the freezer, don't eat them. They're not Altoids.
Oh gosh.
Not that I would be eating candy out of the freezer. That's just weird.
I'm just random like, why is that in here?
Oh, Altoids. So
take
this is
4 real
someone.
I usually eat 5 at a time.
But yeah, it's just like with any type of drug, you're altering your state of mind.
Uh-huh.
And you're opening yourself up for stuff that you don't want to be opened up for, because you're not in control of yourself.
Yeah.
When you're on that high, like the door just opened and closed. Is your air on?
The windows.
Okay.
Yeah.
The windows are open.
Yeah.
I thought your dog was like learning how to open the door, close the door. Calm down, Manny.
You just
Yeah, no, it's just. I mean, it's the same with alcohol. You're altering your state of mind.
Okay.
You're not in the right frame or the right presence that you should be in when you're on an investigation. But I like what he said, when you're like, if he times it right when he's coming down, so he's still kind of got that like that stimulant from the THC or the CBD or whatever, but he's not like to the point where he's not in control either.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So, like, I'm a fun guy, and sometimes I like fun guy, and I always thought maybe that might be fun on investigation, but it's also a hallucinogen.
I'm not doing shrooms.
that would be something where it would, if it was microdosed.
Oh, microdose would be good.
Microdosed.
Because I think like shrooms. Like, what did Native Americans take? Peyote and shrooms. Is that what the
Peyote,
big thing
yeah.
for them? And what's peyote? I'm not even sure exactly what peyote is.
So it's like a button of a plant.
Oh, interesting.
And that button, I don't know if they make tea out of it or they eat it. I don't know what they do.
I thought they smoked it.
Yeah, you dry it out and smoke it as well.
Because that would take Native Americans to like a spiritual world.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they use it for.
Well, like DMT. Like DMT.
DMT, yeah.
Or you die and come back from that one.
Ego dies. Your ego dies on that one.
Yeah.
Well, DMT isn't it like a natural occurring chemical in your brain, anyways?
Yes.
Yeah. We have it in the pineal gland.
Yeah, there was some documentary on Netflix a while ago about that. I don't remember.
The
what it
spirit molecule.
was. Yeah, there you go. Watch that.
Joe Rogan did that.
But like I said, in no way are we condoning the usage of alcohol or drugs on an investigation.
So DMT.
Because like, well, so wait a minute. I don't.
Hold on
Just
here.
kidding.
Hold on
Just
here.
kidding.
Hold on. No, do this one, though.
But what I'm talking about is not even drugs, though.
No, it's not. Like I said, it's a natural occurring chemical.
Yeah,
in
It's
the brain.
chemical.
Same with cannabis. We have cannabinoid receptors, also a natural thing. Keeping everything real natural here, guys. So,
But I'm not saying, like, don't go shoot up heroin, don't drop acid or ecstasy. Like,
right. Those are all jokes. DMT, something that we have naturally in our body. Playing around on a small, like micro amounts of it, and doing my own meditations with it, have had some crazy experiences. One of which was I'm like face to face with myself, and the other me tells me, "Hey, Ghosty."
so your
So-
higher self is talking to you.
So I says to myself, "Ghosty."
Because they don't play that.
It was telling me that it was saying something like, you have no idea how powerful you are. Like, you can do things, like saying things to me about how I can do all these things that I just don't know I could do yet. And then one of the things that it left me with saying that you can make yourself feel pain without feeling pain. And I remember right after that, waking up from that meditation with my mouth hurting. And I'm like I bit my tongue or bit my cheek or something. And I'm trying to feel around for the pain because it hurts. And then it just disappears. And then I'm just like, what was that all about?
Now, is DMT a hallucinogen at all, or?
Can be. You're not really seeing things that aren't there. you're seeing, if your eyes are open, you're seeing things that are there, but like fractals of it, of like almost like things making up things. It's strange, hard to explain, but it does put you in like another dimension. It's
Speaking of other dimensions,
yeah.
Interesting. Yes, we are going to delve in to the well-known Bermuda Triangle. So specifically a certain story that I'm interested in. And there's a story of Bruce Gernon and his flight. But real quick, if I don't know if Ghosty or someone wants to really quick just kind of give a little bit about what the Bermuda Triangle is.
So it is a section in the Atlantic Ocean that touches from the Florida Panhandle
It's like
to
Miami, roughly.
over to Puerto Rico, and then over to what's those other
Bermuda.
islands? Bermuda.
Yeah.
Bermuda.
Yeah, but there's
Bermuda Triangle.
another
No,
name.
Bermuda.
Okay, Bermuda. There's a name to these certain islands.
That's a small little island.
Okay, either way, Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
I wonder where it got its name from.
What's the name of those islands?
What are the Bermuda Triangle? Is that near Bermuda?
Around the corner or something. What I find fascinating is that there's been a couple thousand ships lost
Well, no, 50 ships and 20 planes
that have been just lost.
lost.
Wow. I think that's interesting, which is why it probably has its name, right? Or why it has its mystery behind it.
Mystery. Dating back all the way back to 1492.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus.
What about him?
He's seen some shit. That guy.
That should be another topic. I've heard some interesting things.
He saw like a flame.
UFOs I've heard too.
That was one of the theories. We can delve
Yeah.
into that. That's not our story this week, but
Yes.
he's the first recorded case of something happening in the triangle.
Oh. I'm not aware of that story.
Yeah, I did some research.
Okay.
Some, not a lot.
So this individual I want to talk about is, like I said, Bruce Gernon. Him, his father, and one of his business partners took a flight, which he's done multiple times. This happened in December 4th, 1970.
Or if you go off my notes, I just wrote 170. I was just looking at him like, December 4th, 170. He was flying a plane then.
So he became a pilot in 65. So at this point, he had already been an experienced pilot for 5 years at this point. Okay, so he's taken this trip multiple times, dozens of times, from the Bahamas, the Andros Islands, to Miami, dozens of times. Not an unusual trip. They've had this trip with no problems, and roughly it's about a 90-minute flight. I actually don't know why they do this often, but they do. I don't know. Did you ever anyone find out why they do that? Now that I'm saying, I'm like, why do they do this so many times?
I don't know.
But maybe it's a beautiful island. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Andros. But
Fishing? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. But they've done this flight many times, and it's roughly about 250 miles and 90 minutes in time. Okay, so this is very normal for them. Now the plane they use is a Beechcraft Bonanza, not a big plane. It's just a very small plane, probably a 4-passenger if I were to guess, just by a picture I saw.
Yeah, this is like a little single engine plane.
Yeah, a little plane, and the average speed is about 180 miles that this thing flies. About 180 miles. So here's where things get a little interesting. As they take off, they hit about 1,000 feet up, and he notices this small dark cloud, and it's kind of growing, and he's like, well, we got to fly through this. They fly through it, not a big deal. Once they get to about 11,500 feet, he sees a larger dark cloud. Now, this isn't a rainstorm cloud. It's just dark, so there's no rain. They have no choice but to fly through it to get to their destination. As he flies through it, they are seeing flashes of light, but these are not lightning. Again, this is not a rainstorm cloud. So it's dark with no light, and there's flashes of light just kind of going off.
I'm seeing like 80s movies.
It was dark with no light, huh?
Yeah, yes.
No, pitch black. Like, legit couldn't see anything.
Did either of you see that TV series Manifest?
No.
So when I kind of heard the story, I kind of thought of that. So this show was on NBC. 2018, I think 2017 it came out. And the premise of this movie was this family and a bunch of passengers are on a flight home from, I think, Jamaica. And during the flight they hit some turbulence, and everyone's panicking. Then they come out of it okay. They land. Things seem weird because 5 years had passed.
We'll get to the
But-
finish
but-
this story to find out why.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm done with the show. I'm just saying this reminds me of this. So if you've watched Manifest, this is when hearing the story kind of reminds me of that. It's just kind of like it's dark, flashes of light,
But it wasn't lightning.
but it wasn't lightning. So they said
Weird
about
science.
30 minutes they were flying through this cloud. So I have a friend that's a pilot, and once you're up in the sky, and it's like you're over, especially like when you're over water, everything just looks the same at that point, and I don't know, your equilibrium or something's way off, or like your sense of direction gets way off, and you just have to trust your gauges. Because if you kind of trust your instinct and you think, no, I think we're not going straight anymore, I think we're kind of veering off, and you want to overcompensate, you're going to end up totally wrong place. So you have to trust your control instruments pretty well. But they've been flying through this cloud about 30 minutes. They see some light at the end, literally of the end of the tunnel, because this cloud shape has formed like a tunnel shape. And as they see the light and they're trying to exit out of these cloud tunnels, they can see that it's kind of starting to close up. And he's like panicking. And towards the end of exiting out of this, their control instruments are going haywire. Like they're just going out of control. And they can't really gauge anything. Anyway, very queer. Very, very weird. They exit the clouds. Now they're kind of in a gray fog. And he's calling ground control. Bruce is, and he's finding out where are we? Where are we located at now? Because my instruments are all out of whack. And ground control says, you're not on the radar. We don't see you anywhere. A few minutes later, they call back, say, oh, here you are. You're in Miami airspace. And he's looking at his clock saying, no, that's impossible. We can't be in Miami airspace. And then as those gray clouds kind of clear up, he sees, yes, we are in Miami. And they land within 47 minutes. So again, this flight, they've done this dozens of times. It's taken them 90 minutes. And this time it took them 47 minutes. And again, so I mentioned that little, Beechcraft Bonanza airplane that only travels at 180 miles per hour top speed. So it's physically impossible for them to get at this destination at that time, almost cut in half. And as you looked at his fuel, the fuel that they've consumed is not anywhere near they normally would be for that flight. So they have a lot more fuel than usual.
So that's why it reminds you of that show Manifest.
Why?
Because they jump through time.
Supposedly, right? So in that show, they jumped through 5 years of time. This is 45 minutes. So it's, it's not, is it time travel? I don't know. But it's weird though. That's the part that's weird. And this gentleman, he's written books about this. He's been on multiple shows about it, kind of giving his experience. He thinks it has something to do with that cloud, which is obviously the most unusual part of this whole flight, is this dark cloud of flashes with flashing lights.
My thought is it was a small wormhole of some kind.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know, a fraction of a wormhole. I don't know. But because normally wormholes are in space.
Yeah.
Maybe this one was just a miniature version.
I don't know. What do you think, Beaker?
Yes.
You think what? Black hole?
So
Did I miss anything?
no, you didn't. So yeah, so he's got this whole website, electromagnetic or electronic fog or whatever he calls it.
Something like that, yeah.
That's what he's calling the cloud and the stuff that he went through. And there are some theories, and I kind of agree with this one. I guess the scientists have discovered something called dark matter or dark energy, and which is something that's normally found in space.
Yep.
And it operates, I guess, similar to like a black hole or a wormhole. And one of the theories is that this cloud, this thing that he flew through, was a form of the dark energy.
Okay.
Thus creating like that wormhole. And as he's like going through it, one of the diagrams I actually saw in a video was basically like the way that the way it was operating as he's moving forward, the energy is like coming around behind the plane and propelling him forward. Does that make sense?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's one of the theories.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't know the answer.
That's pushing him.
Yeah. Because like the dark energy
So it's
is
not
like
that he's not traveling through time. He's just moving faster than he thinks he is.
quite possibly, or like you said, it could be like the dark energy created like a wormhole or
A push of some sort.
like a black hole or wormhole that basically more or less like made him go faster or like teleported him.
That's what. It's hard to wrap your head around how this makes sense. Because it's like, okay, if he went through this cloud and it pushed him through time faster, like how is that even possible? Like where does he go and come out of to make that even a thing?
Yeah, so you gotta remember. So air flight is highly documented. So it's it's documented the time he left, what time he arrived, his fuel consumption. All that's documented. So it's not like this Bruce gentleman has made any of this stuff up. It's just unexplained. Like how do you explain this? But this little plane for me is the weird part actually. This little plane is so small. I don't think it could travel that fast without possibly damage or anything like that, because it would basically be traveling twice the normal speed.
Yeah.
And they would probably feel that G-force of them going twice the normal
Yeah, if
speed.
they were going
you would
fast,
think, too.
you'd feel that.
Yeah. So that's where I think
you rode
it's
in my
weird,
car.
too.
You know what it feels like.
Yes, exactly. I've been in the Tesla.
Then they say something like they did the math, and for how fast he went, he was going something like he would have had to have gone like 2,000 miles an hour to get.
I haven't heard anything like that. Yeah. So you think they would
Well,
notice?
the one video I said that they did it by kilometers, where
Okay.
they said he went like 3,000.
Who uses that? Canadians?
Yeah, well, gosh,
It was.
if you love Canada so much, why don't you just move there?
It was one of those Europeans, but I think
French Canadians?
Yes, those newfies. I heard there was something like, in order for him to go, because it was like he traveled such a great distance in like 3 minutes, like 100 miles in like 3 minutes is what I heard.
Yeah, jeez.
Which would mean, like I said, he was traveling something like 2,000 miles an hour
Right.
to go 100 miles in 3
Okay,
minutes.
yeah, see, that's crazy.
Here's a crazy thought. Speaking of crazy. So you've heard of is it USOs?
Underwater sub...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you've seen the videos of how they go underwater
Yes.
and disappear.
Okay.
Have you also heard of these theories that there could be 2 to 3 other livable layers under Earth's crust?
Where the giant sharks live?
Lizard people and shit.
Oh, Earth's crust. That's what you said, Earth's crust, yeah.
The
Yeah.
Nordics,
Okay.
the Nordic aliens.
So there supposedly could be 2 to 3 levels of livable land under the Earth. Anyways,
Okay.
if there are these civilizations under where we're standing on,
Okay.
and say they have a base
Okay.
directly where the Bermuda Triangle is,
Okay.
and they're talking to their buddies in space, or they're traveling to space and then back into their.
Just plucking people out?
Well, I mean, as it's happening, maybe as they're leaving or coming down or sending signals or whatever, maybe that is what's disrupting the planes, or maybe the planes get stuck in that little, like, as they're shooting off, they're in their flight pattern, or not in the flight pattern, but in their line of sight. I don't know. But anyways, they get taken off with them as they travel. Maybe as they're, like, shooting off and they zoom so fast, everything around it gets...
Yeah, I don't know. That's a little bit beyond my thinking.
But I don't know. I started thinking about weird shit today and started thinking about that being a possibility because there's problems with not just planes but ships in the ocean.
Yes, yeah.
And when those disappear, there's no trace of them sometimes. There's like no destruction. There's no, like, if the storm
Like
happened,
debris floats across
debris,
at some
something,
point.
some kind of, like, if a plane crashes somewhere else, they'll find the debris of the plane crash and whatever. Out there, they don't find anything.
Right.
Or sometimes they just find the ship sailing by itself, and the crew is completely vanished.
See, so this
That
is the
was
stuff
a
that I want to
story.
talk about on
We can do that in another
yeah.
episode.
So the Bermuda Triangle just in general fascinates me. This is just the first of many stories I want to maybe talk about.
Possible that they think that an asteroid had landed in that area in the Bermuda Triangle, and it's the electromagnetic energy from the asteroid that's causing all these phenomenon.
Oh, interesting. So there is reports that that day of the flight that there were 84 sunspots. I have no idea what that means.
No, I don't either, but they were there.
And there were solar winds of 440 miles per second. Miles per second, not miles per hour.
That's those
Miles per second.
USOs flying in and out of the ocean.
So yeah, there was a solar wind of 440 miles per second.
So like the speed of a spaceship flying past you.
And so these theories are maybe what possibly could have caused the plane to travel that distance. But again, you would think they would feel them going that speed. You know, like their backs and head would be against the headrest.
Right.
You know, but no, he's flying a plane. So it's just unusual. So the other thing, we're talking about, dark energies, black holes, wormholes. What about time travel though?
Or
go ahead. But I want to talk about time travel.
If the other planes that disappeared, they might have flown into these clouds and just went into another dimension or
Just disappeared.
went into space, went under the water somehow. Either way, maybe this guy just barely
Made it out.
barely touched it.
Because like you said, it was enclosing, right? He could see this tunnel, and that's what he kind of referred to it as, that more of like a tunnel at this point. Starts closing up, and you're saying maybe they got the tail end of the plane and just kind of pushed him 45 minutes.
Well, like just kind of closed him in, and he got out of it before it could shoot him into another time and space or another dimension.
It's like in Star Wars when they're coming out of the Death Star or the Millennium Falcon and the Falcon
warp speed, what they call
and
it,
and the blast, the flames are helping push them and propel them through the. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, apparently, this is the only documented case where someone has actually seen the start of one of these electromagnetic fog storms, like from the beginning all the way to the end. This is like the only.
That's a good point.
This is the only case that has been recorded that they've seen the birth of this thing all the way to the finish of it. And survive.
And there's witnesses, right? So he's got his dad and his business partner. So you got witnesses, and then you have all the documentation: when they left, when they landed, the
I want
fuel
to know
gauge.
what kind of lights they were seeing if it wasn't lightning, because the only lights in the sky when it's dark is caused by the friction and
of like the clouds rubbing, causing lightning. Yeah, but like again, he's not like a meteorologist or anything, but he's been a pilot for 5 years at this point, so seems
so
familiar.
He would know what lightning looks like.
You would think he's familiar with lightning and storm clouds.
I mean, it wasn't raining or anything.
It did not rain at all.
I don't recall them saying there anything about like turbulence or anything like that. Like,
yeah, you're right. I didn't hear anything about turbulence. That's a good point. I didn't hear anything about.
Like, it almost just seemed like it was dark. You couldn't see where it was going, and he was just going. Like, they didn't say about the plane like going upside down or like spinning or anything. He just flew
because his gauges worked for the most part until the end.
The end when he got into that little gray mist that they bring in, and that's when the compasses and the gauges and everything just started going crazy.
Yeah, and that's why he had to call it the ground control. Say, so where am I? And they're like, you're not on radar. And then wait, well, there you are. You're in Miami already. He's like, impossible.
It's an alien fog machine.
A fog machine. So,
they had their disco light going.
Oh, there you go. Aliens dancing.
Yeah, it was like a raver in the sky.
But what do you think about time travel? Is that possible? Is that real?
It's
only through
irrelevant.
black holes. Irrelevant? Is that what you're saying?
Time travel is irrelevant
Why is that?
because you've never heard the joke. It's like, when do we want time travel? When do we want? It's irrelevant.
Oh, okay. I got you. I mean, yes, I know exactly what you mean.
I don't know. I've seen so many different things on time travel. Like the dude that like was in like the 40s wearing like a t-shirt and sunglasses, when these things didn't exist.
Okay.
Oh,
Like
those
have you seen that picture?
Yeah.
I've seen some of those pictures that are trying to prove the time travel, and I'm just like, okay, well, these pictures, as far as I know, started popping up within the last like 10 years, 15 years.
When internet became
when
a
you
thing.
had like internet and Photoshop and stuff like that.
There's one of somebody at a boxing match. Looks like he's recording on his smartphone.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that too, where it's like they're in the 20s and they've got a cell phone or something.
Yeah.
It's like this is proof that time travel exists. And I don't know. For me, it's not like
No.
just
No.
seeing a picture on the internet. Like, I don't know if that's what the actual picture looked like. I don't know if it's been doctored.
Yes. But what do you guys think about time travel? Is it possible?
Anything's possible.
Yeah,
I
that's a good
think
point.
I think it could be a thing in the. I don't.
Well, so that's the thing is, if it's a thing in the future, it's already a thing now.
Exactly. That's what I'm. That's exactly what I got stuck on right
Yeah.
now.
That's why I said it's irrelevant, because if it's a thing,
It's-
somewhere in point in time, it's a thing everywhere. Just we're not aware how to use it, I guess.
And there's going to be time police.
I mean, there's so many. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I saw so many.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to admit that I use TikTok every now and then. So many people on TikTok that claim that they're from the future.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
those
like
any
the one
credit.
dude was just like going off on how, you know, Trump is going to win the election and this is going to happen on this day, and like none of the things this dude said was going to happen happened.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, if time travel does exist, if someone is able to come back in time, do you really think they're going to go on TikTok and tell people?
Right. Because they would know that in the future TikTok's irrelevant anyway.
Right.
And
Well, the thing is,
And
like,
no one takes it
I mean, if you look
serious.
at Back to the Future, for example, I mean,
Oh, such a great series.
you can, by doing stuff, by changing something or letting people know something, that you could completely alter the timeline and create
Yeah.
a whole new one.
Yes, right.
I mean, that's what they did essentially when Biff stole the almanac,
Almanac,
and took it
the
back
sports.
to the 50s.
Yeah.
You know, you had the original, and then people on YouTube can see the, you know, 0 people that watch our YouTube. So you got the original timeline here. And then when he went back in time, you've now, and gave him the almanac, you've now created an alternate timeline.
Kind of
So
like with
it's
the
not like
Endgame.
saying, it's not like saying the original timeline doesn't exist anymore. It's just a different
Right.
timeline now.
So what Marvel did with the Endgame, things they introduced time travel. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched Avengers
From like 2 years ago.
but everything just started branching off. Yeah, every thing that they went back and did, it just branched off into another timeline, and just time continued, but on a different timeline. That's what you're kind of saying. Is with,
Yeah.
with
Well, and then at the end
possible-
of, like, you know, Back to the Future 2, when they, you know, he goes back to the 50s and stops the almanac from ever getting in Biff's hands,
Yeah.
the younger Biff's hands, it kind of resets the timeline and fixes it. But it's something like that. Like, if someone really is coming from the future back to like 2020, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue why it was such a god awful year. You know what? I'm going to go back to 2020. No, you're not. I'm sorry. But you're not going to go on TikTok either and tell everybody about it
no.
Oh,
for 2 reasons. One, again, just by telling someone, giving people knowledge of something like that could possibly alter the timeline, and it could mess up your present,
Yes,
I guess,
right.
or our future,
Yeah.
creating a whole new timeline. And that's going to make everything that you just said just irrelevant, in my opinion, anyways. I'm not an expert on time travel.
you think if
I wish I was.
if time travel was a thing, we would have better history books right now, because whoever was time traveling would go back and fix all the bullshit that they're teaching us.
we need it to
But
learn.
maybe they have roles in the future where they're not allowed to interfere. They're more just observe. So maybe they're rewriting the histories. Maybe we'll have better history books in the future.
They're just laughing at us now.
Yeah.
Look how dumb these guys are.
Now, I personally do not think like a time machine could exist. That's in my, ape brain. My ape brain can't wrap my head around a machine that could pinpoint an exact day and location or whatever.
The DeLorean did it.
I know.
I
One
have no
time.
idea. I don't know.
Dr. Brown was, something special though.
Dr. Emmett Brown.
Yes.
I don't know. I just,
Have you guys seen this show on Hulu called 1960?
Nope.
1962. It's with James Franco, and he is a teacher, and he ends up, he's good friends with this guy that runs this cafe, and this guy that runs this cafe, all of a sudden he goes back into the back and then comes back out, and all of a sudden he's different, and all of a sudden he has cancer and he's dying. He's like, what happened to you? You were gone for 2 minutes.
Oh, interesting.
Well, what he did was he has this storage closet that he goes into, and he goes back into time to 1962.
What's so
and-
great about that year?
I don't know if it's 1962, but it's a couple years before JFK gets assassinated.
Okay.
And so this guy keeps going back in time to try to stop the assassination from happening.
Oh, interesting.
And every time he goes back and does something, and
Just a little bit of him.
well, no, it's something different. The timeline changes a little bit.
He affects it.
Yeah, he affects timelines and everything. And somehow,
How does
whatever he
travel
did,
in that show?
he just walks into this closet, and then when he comes back out, all of a sudden he's just like
portal.
Yeah, it's like a portal, and all of a sudden he's just like back in time, and people are looking at him all funny, like, where did you come from?
Yeah.
And why are you looking so
So
funny?
again, I don't know if we'll ever create a time machine, but I could see like a black hole, a portal. I could see that as a
tear in
possibility.
space and time.
Yeah,
Like a
the
portal.
enter.
With that dude that the paper mill or whatever down in Santa Quinn was showing us pictures of supposed portals.
I don't
that were
remember
just-
that.
It might have been after he left. He
I
was showing.
I just drove by that today.
He was showing me actual pictures that he's taken. It was the thing is, it was like a picture of a picture, but he was saying it was like legit, like just an open portal in the middle of like a field. Like here in Utah, we're in the desert. Like in Eureka, right? Desert, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got this portal, and then on the inside of it, it's like grass and trees and stuff, like in the middle of the desert. Again, it was a picture of a picture, so I don't know if it was doctored or not, but I mean, if it wasn't, it was actually kind of cool.
Interesting.
Like this guy was like saying he legit has seen portals and seen people walk through portals.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
you're
what they
showing all that to
say
me.
that would happen at like
So talk to
Skinwalker Ranch, is these portals that would open up and things coming in and out of them.
I would say like if time travel is a possibility, it would be more like that.
That's what I'm thinking. Not a machine, right? That's what you're
No.
saying. I mean, it'd be cool to
Unless you're
pinpoint.
watching Family Guy.
Their
Stewie's
little
little disc.
Yeah. So that's why I found this story very interesting, because how can he cut that flight in half? What happened? This whole, what do you call it again? What type of cloud or fog? Electromagnet or something like that? Can't remember what he called it.
Yeah, and then also in this case, is it even time travel or is it just propulsion?
I'm
that's the
I'm
part that
more
confuses
with
me.
like propulsion and like
That's part I don't get, though, because you basically have to go, again, my ape brain says if you cut the time in half, you went twice the speed. I'm probably way off by that. It's probably not exactly like that. But that's what my ape brain says. You had to probably go twice the speed to get there in half the time. And you'd feel that. I would think they were experienced enough to feel that type of propulsion pushing them faster.
electronic fog.
Electronic.
And that's his website, electronicfog.com.
And that's what he calls it, yeah. That is what he calls it.
That's what he calls it.
So,
But yeah, no, I kind of get your point. Like
That's
if
why propulsion
that
doesn't make
theory,
sense
the
to me.
propulsion with the clouds coming around it and pushing it forward.
Right.
You think I didn't even think of that until you mentioned it. But if he did actually travel something like 2,000 miles an hour, it would rip that plane to pieces.
Yeah, again, because the plane is so tiny. And
And it's
and
not
again,
rated for that speed. Obviously, no.
No.
I don't think no plane's rated
Sure,
for that speed.
that's true too.
Because if we could travel 2,000 miles a minute, it wouldn't, or an hour, you'd be able to fly from New York to LA in an hour.
That'd be nice.
I think it's a little bit longer of a flight. Than
Yeah,
that.
that would be nice. So yeah, that's why the propulsion part doesn't make sense to me, because of that.
I like the dark energy wormhole theory.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, that that this maybe happens all the time, and that's why they disappear. They're just sucked. They're gone. But they just luckily Bruce got out of it just in time, or else maybe they would have.
Or maybe that wormhole
Travel.
was just supposed to only be that big. Not really
Yeah.
a wormhole through time, more or less, but just a wormhole through space.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because I think the other ones are like, if the plane's disappearing or ship's disappearing, maybe those ones are actually like entering a time type like wormhole thing, where it's teleporting to a different time. But with his, it's just moving them forward 45 minutes. I think it's more just one of the ways people the guy explained it, and I'm glad my paper's folded in half here. So let me borrow your pen. And you're not going to be see this unless you're watching on YouTube. But so you got a piece of paper here, and you got this dot here, right?
One on
So-
each end of the paper.
So on each end of the paper, and for those that you probably can't see it on YouTube, but I'll just put my fingers on the dots. So you got the two pieces of the paper here. So like say there was a wormhole that formed, and it basically just like brought those two dots together,
Yeah,
closing that gap.
So you kind of folded the paper
Yeah.
into the dots.
So it's more and
together.
more folding space. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah.
bringing those 2 points closer together instead of having them far apart like that. That was actually one of the diagrams I saw on one of the videos I watched.
I saw something like that on another show years ago where they had like a piece of paper like a circle, and instead of going around the circle, it like formed like they made like a cone and made it reaching the other side faster. Yeah, like if you want to meet this side to this side, instead of going all the way around, why not just go straight through it? And then they kind of just fold.
Yeah, that's one of the theories. It's like it's literally just like space like folded and just brought those 2 points closer.
And we'll probably never know what happened, or what happens to all these mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle. We might never know what happened. I mean, I know they have found. There was an original topic I was going to talk about on the Bermuda Triangle, but they have found that 90 years later. They had found the wreckage of that. Can't remember what it was called. Actually, I'll pull up real quick because it'll be in our message. But the SS Cotopaxi.
Oh, okay.
The SS Cotopaxi. So that went missing. 90 years later, they think they found it based on some of the things they found in the bottom of the ocean. But again, that was a mystery. Everyone's gone.
Well, maybe one of these times we could touch on too the 5 naval pilots or whatever that were doing navigation training.
Yes, we are going to talk about that. A few flights, actually. We'll probably do it all in one episode.
And the ghost ships. So the ghost ship one was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about the Bermuda Triangle. Why is the Bermuda Triangle the way it is? And Ghostie's theory is pretty interesting too. That there's this subterranean, village or whatever.
Yeah. I wish I had a pro going and be like, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
It could be. Could be.
Yeah, that is interesting. That is pretty interesting.
That's where their civilization is under the ocean.
This whole thing reminds me of that Star Trek movie, the first Next Generation one. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Star Trek Generations, where there's that whole like that ripple through space thing. That's like, have you seen the movie?
No, I
haven't seen it.
I'm the only.
I'm not a Trekkie.
I'm not either. I just own all the Star Trek movies. But there's like this thing that's flying through space.
Okay.
And if it hits you, it basically puts you into this other like dimension. Mm-hmm. Basically, like it puts you into like where your fantasies would come true. Like so like William Shatner's character goes in it, right? Captain Kirk goes in it, and he's like living in some cabin out in the woods with his family. Like he wanted to when he was retired.
Yeah.
And that's the life he's living. That's what he's living inside of this nexus or whatever.
All right.
And somehow they're able to like people are able to come out of this nexus. And like, so for him, it happened in Captain Kirk's time, right? And Next Generation happens like, I don't know how many hundreds of years later, as far as like the Star Trek universe goes. But they were able to actually pull him out of the nexus, and now he's in Captain Picard's time.
Interesting.
This is like 80 years or something like that. Like, so for him, he's only been gone like a day, right?
Yeah.
But for everybody else, he'd been gone for like 80 years.
Interesting.
So it's possible. I wonder, like, if that could be another thing, is maybe there's some sort of like nexus or like.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one thing on that show I was talking about on Hulu, that 1960 whatever, is whenever that guy would go in that closet and go back into time, he could spend 2 years there, but when he comes back, he was only gone for like a minute, 2 minutes.
Oh, interesting.
So.
And he knew that the portal was in the same place?
Yeah. Every time. I can't remember how he comes back. I can't remember what happens, how they come back. But when he comes back, he could spend however long out there, a year, 2 years, couple weeks. But whenever they come back, it's only been a matter of a couple minutes that have passed by.
You said it was James Franco?
Yeah.
I'm not finding it.
It's on who? 1960?
I'm just on IMDb, but I wasn't finding it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, interesting. And going back to that show, that Manifest show that I was talking about. So again, they go through turbulence. They land. Everyone's like, what's going on? Why is this plane just landing? They find out 5 years had passed. So the star of the show, his son is with him, and his daughter and wife took another flight, and now his younger sister's now his age or something, something like that. It's weird. It's like a weird time. It's a weird thing. But anyway, like in this, like every person on that flight, I don't remember, like they have, something special about them or something like that. It's an interesting series. I never finished it. I think the third season I think they've done the third season of that show. I got halfway through the first season.
Never
I kind of
heard
lost
of this.
interest, but after this story, I'm kind of interested to see what was it in that series or if they've discovered what it was that caused that, 5 year for them. It was just normal flight. Like nothing had changed. Just they hit turbulence. 5 years had passed though in this series. But it'd be weird if that ever happened in real life. That'd be some trippy ass shit.
Yeah, I would.
Like this plane goes missing, and then the whole Malaysian flights. There was a ton of Malaysian flights that disappeared, and one has washed up, I think.
11/22/63.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's the month. Okay, 11/23.
11/22/63.
63. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I guess that came out 2016.
Yeah.
And he was in 8 episodes of it.
Interesting. But
There's so many like different theories with time travel. And
yes. So again, I was just talking about the Malaysian flights. How many flights disappeared? Was it a couple,
It
two,
was
three?
2 that I know of that happened back to back.
Yeah, like within a short amount of time, it
Yeah.
seems like 2 or 3 disappeared.
But they found the
and
wreckage
They
from-
found of one.
Yeah.
Where are the other ones? And I don't know if do they fly through the Bermuda Triangle? I don't think so. I think they're all on a different part of the world. But yeah, wouldn't it be weird if one of those all of a sudden just arrives and like, oh hey, we're back. Holy shit, it's been 5 years. Where you guys been?
That would be pretty
It'd be
cool.
so crazy. No, that'd be cool. I would really mess up with my
It's
head.
like the blip
Yes,
after Thanos' snap. Like
Yeah.
everyone's gone for 5 years and they come back and it was just like,
like nothing. But for them, the ones that blipped, it's like nothing happened.
yeah, and they don't realize it's 5 years in the future.
Yes,
They come back. There's some other family living in their house.
right. Spouses are with new mates. That was part of that Manifest show. Like, he's back with his wife and daughter, but his wife has a new boyfriend now because he's been gone for 5 years. Gotta move on.
That'd be a weird scenario.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
for
an
you,
awkward-
it's
it was
like
an awkward episode.
you're gone for like 5 minutes, and in reality, you're gone for 5 years.
Yes.
That would just be trippy. I don't even want to think about that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that would be cool. I think that'd be really weird if that really happened.
I mean, it would give me a reason to find a new job, I guess.
It would be cool to witness on the outside looking at it,
Yeah.
but not to be part of it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I just want to talk about this topic. I thought it was interesting, not only about Bruce's experience, but what was that? And talk about time travel and black holes and all that. I do want to talk about other stories about the Bermuda Triangle because it's such a weird phenomenon of that area. And I think we can go into a lot of different, rabbit holes on it.
Yeah.
That's paranormal.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
Anything else you guys want to mention about whether this story or the Bermuda Triangle or black holes or time traveling? We just start working on a machine.
Yeah.
What did Doc Brown do to the DeLorean that made it?
They put a flux capacitor on
That's
it.
what we need, a flux capacitor. We should look into that.
Gigabytes.
Yeah.
Gigawatts.
Gigawatts.
Gigawatts, because he couldn't say gigawatts or something.
No, didn't know how to say it.
I didn't know how to say it. It was 1.21 gigawatts.
Gigawatts.
Enlightening. That's what we need.
Well, we have to be able to go 87 miles per hour,
Yeah,
That's
that shouldn't be
fast.
hard.
which is not hard now. Like, hey, your Tesla can do it.
In
We're turning your
few
Tesla.
seconds.
We're turning his Tesla into a time machine.
It's already a spaceship.
We just figured it out. Yeah, we're one step closer to figuring this out.
See, I just have an electric hybrid. You have an actual electric, so we can turn
It can
yours.
power anything.
Yeah, we're turning your car into a time
Let's
machine.
do it.
Funny story on that. I get an email from the place where I got my mobile office van at, and the advertisement email I got was the gas powered such and such. I'm like, well, yeah, isn't like 90% of the vehicles all gas powered? Like, why is that?
I know, they have to
why is that
advertise
why is
that
the
it's
selling
gas
point?
powered?
The gas powered such and such vehicle. I'm like, aren't they all gas powered?
Most of them are.
Apparently not.
No, especially of this brand and this model, they're all gas powered.
Yeah, I know. They don't have any electric
They
models.
don't have electric models. So I was like, huh, interesting selling point. Like, funny story, me and Ghosty were at a store and they were it was, what was it again? Thin Mint almonds, Girl Scout Thin
Oh,
Mint
yeah.
almonds. And the description was crunchy almonds. And I thought, well, what other almonds are there? It's not like chewy, soft
You don't
almonds.
buy those soft almonds?
You don't buy those chewy almonds. I'm like, that's already a weird selling point already. Starting off with crunchy almonds.
Our crunchy almonds. Yeah.
The new
Stupid.
Toyota Yaris has windows that go up and down.
And
This is way too luxurious.
all right, guys. Thanks again for watching and listening to the EVP podcast. Bye.
Ghost, you don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
This is the EVP podcast.